The best player left in the college football playoff isn't a seasoned veteran or even an upperclassman. It's a 19-year-old freshman with an exceptional combination of size, strength, and athleticism that makes him nearly impossible to defend. Standing at 6'3" with powerful biceps and spring-loaded legs, Ohio State receiver Jeremiah Smith is already drawing comparisons to the most elite football talents, and his skills are drawing admiration from all corners of the sport. In fact, there is a growing sentiment that the next 2 weeks could be the last Smith spends in college football. At least, that's the hope for his future and the future of college football's draft eligibility rules. For all of the incredible progress made in the sport over the years, one major hurdle remains: the NFL's rule requiring athletes to spend 3 years in college after high school before they can enter the draft. This policy was tested more than 2 decades ago by another Ohio State standout, Maurice Clarett, who attempted and ultimately failed to challenge the NFL's eligibility rules. Clarett's case made its way to the U.S. Court of Appeals and was ultimately overturned by the NFL. However, the legal battle and its aftermath have left lingering questions about whether the rule is truly justified or if it can withstand a modern legal challenge. Now, with Smith's undeniable talent, it seems the time might be right for another attempt to break the rule. A freshman with NFL talent. Smith's talent is so advanced that NFL analysts agree he is ready to compete at the highest level. Oregon head coach Dan Lanning, who saw firsthand how Smith dismantled his team during the Rose Bowl, didn't mince words when evaluating the young star's potential. He's NFL ready. He's that talented. It's not hard to see why. Smith's ability to read the game, his mastery of route running, his impeccable hands, and his uncanny ability to separate from defenders make him stand out even among other top prospects. In fact, most NFL scouts and analysts are in agreement that Smith, if eligible, could very well be the top pick in this year's NFL draft. His performance in the college football playoff, particularly his upcoming semifinal game against Texas, will likely further solidify his place as one of the most highly coveted players in the country. Despite his remarkable ability, Smith is bound by the current eligibility rules and won't be able to enter the NFL draft until 2027. This is an undeniable boon for college football and for Ohio State, who will get to enjoy the talents of one of the most gifted players in the game for at least another 2 seasons. It's not even all bad news for Smith. Thanks to the emergence of name, image, and likeness (NIL) deals, he will be able to earn millions in endorsement deals before even stepping onto an NFL field. This new era of NIL deals has allowed players like Smith to generate wealth while still in college, something that past stars like Clarett never had access to. Case for challenging the rule. While the rule is advantageous for college football, allowing teams to retain top talent for several years, and beneficial for the NFL, which essentially gets free access to a developmental league, the case can be made that it is time for change. If Smith is already ready for the NFL, why should he be forced to stay in college for another 2 years? The argument is further supported by the NIL era, which has fundamentally shifted the economics of college athletics. Athletes can now make substantial money while staying in school, meaning there is less financial incentive to rush to the NFL. The idea that players aren't physically ready for the NFL at 19 or 20 no longer holds as much weight, especially in cases like Smith's, where he has already proven he can compete with the best. Comparison to Maurice Clarett's failed challenge to the NFL's draft rule is telling. Clarett, who was famously dismissed from Ohio State before the NFL draft, argued that the rule was an illegal barrier to entry into the NFL's labor market. His case, which was initially ruled in his favor by U.S. District Judge Shira Scanlon, was ultimately overturned on appeal in 2004 by the U.S. Court of Appeals, with a ruling written by then-Judge Sonia Sotomayor. The NFL won that battle, and Clarett's attempt to take the case to the Supreme Court was denied. Despite that loss, Clarett's challenge sparked questions about whether the NFL's eligibility rule violated antitrust laws, and these questions have remained largely unresolved. One major difference between Clarett's time and today is the widespread availability of NIL deals. While Clarett struggled financially and had to leave college prematurely, Smith and other players now have the ability to profit from their image, providing them with financial security. This is especially significant considering that college players like Smith are no longer entirely dependent on a college scholarship for their financial well-being. Smith could very well make as much money in nil deals as he would if he were drafted into the NFL right now, making the need to stay in college far less urgent. Changing times. In the modern legal landscape, particularly with a more conservative Supreme Court, some experts believe the rules regarding eligibility could be challenged once again. Shira Scanlon, who initially ruled in Clarett's favor, has argued that today's legal environment might make it more difficult for the NFL to defend its eligibility rule. In fact, Scanlon herself has expressed that if the case were heard today, a different outcome might be possible. The legal and antitrust arguments are complex, and a potential lawsuit would likely require careful navigation through courts. However, at its core, the debate centers around whether a player like Smith should be forced to wait 3 years when he is more than capable of contributing to the NFL right now. As the sports world evolves and players' rights continue to expand, it may be time to reconsider the validity of this long-standing eligibility rule. Ultimately, Smith's case highlights the shifting dynamics of college football and the NFL. While the status quo may benefit many parties involved, the fact that we now live in an era where college athletes can earn significant amounts of money through nil deals makes it increasingly difficult to argue that players like Smith should remain in college for 3 years when they are already ready for the next level. If Smith wants to play in the NFL sooner, he should be given the chance to do so.